The party had been planned for weeks, a carefully arranged gathering meant to celebrate milestones and appearances rather than true happiness. Our home filled with voices, clinking glasses, and laughter practiced just enough to sound convincing. I stood near the edge of the living room when my wife lightly tapped a spoon against her glass and smiled brightly, ready to introduce someone important. "Everyone, this is my work partner," she said smoothly, resting her hand on the man standing beside her. He looked confident and relaxed, far too comfortable for someone meeting friends and family for the first time. People nodded politely, some smiling while others watched with quiet curiosity. I observed closely, noticing how she avoided my eyes and how her voice carried pride mixed with carelessness. The room seemed to wait for my reaction, as if expecting me to step forward or fade quietly into the background. I felt no anger, no urgency, only clarity. In that calm moment, I realized the scene had been rehearsed, just not with me included. Her work partner shook hands, exchanged pleasantries, and accepted compliments as though he belonged there. My wife laughed easily beside him, enjoying the attention. I allowed the moment to settle. Silence can be powerful when people expect noise. Then I stepped forward calmly, smiling just enough to remain polite, and placed my hand gently on the woman standing a few feet away, someone most guests had assumed was simply another acquaintance. "And this," I said evenly, "is his wife." The words were quiet, but they didn't need to be loud. The effect was immediate. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. Someone's glass paused halfway to their lips. The woman stiffened, her expression shifting from confusion to realization within seconds. The man's confidence disappeared. My wife's smile collapsed so quickly, it was almost painful to watch. In that single moment, the story she had prepared unraveled completely. No one spoke. The silence felt thick and heavy with understanding. The woman looked from her husband to my wife, then to me, slowly piecing together a truth she had never been told. My wife attempted a small laugh, muttering something about a misunderstanding, but her voice sounded weak and uncertain. The man opened his mouth to speak, then closed it again, realizing any explanation would only make things worse. I remained calm, my hands relaxed at my sides, saying nothing more. I didn't need to explain anything. The facts had already spoken. Around the room, expressions changed, shock turning into discomfort, and discomfort into quiet judgment. People weren't angry. They were processing what they had just witnessed, which felt even heavier. I hadn't raised my voice or accused anyone. I had simply placed truth where lies had been standing. And once truth takes that place, nothing else can survive there for long. My wife tried to redirect the moment, but no one followed her lead. The energy of the party disappeared instantly, replaced by awkward stillness. Guests avoided eye contact, unsure where to stand or what to say. The woman asked her husband a single quiet question that no one else could hear. Whatever he answered made her step back. When he reached for her arm, she pulled away. I watched without satisfaction or bitterness. This wasn't revenge. It was inevitability. Lies only hold power when everyone agrees to pretend. That night, pretending ended. I hadn't prepared a speech or collected proof. I had simply refused to protect a story that excluded me. The room understood that instinctively, and once it did, nothing felt safe enough to continue celebrating. Guests began finding reasons to leave: early mornings, long drives, sudden obligations. Goodbyes were quick and uncomfortable. My wife stood frozen, her social confidence gone. The man and his wife left without another word, the distance between them visible even from across the room. I quietly helped clear glasses, moving through the house like a guest in my own life. When the last visitor left, my wife tried to speak, but I gently raised my hand to stop her. There was nothing to discuss in that moment. Some conversations lose their meaning once the truth has been spoken publicly. The house felt larger, emptier, and more honest than it had in a long time. I didn't feel victorious. I felt finished. In the days that followed, everything remained quiet, but heavy with consequence. Messages arrived from friends who had witnessed the moment, unsure of what to say. I replied politely and briefly. There was no need to explain what everyone had already witnessed with their own eyes. My wife moved cautiously around me, sensing that something permanent had changed between us. She tried to present the situation as a misunderstanding, but misunderstandings don't silence entire rooms. Truth does. The man's professional presence in her life disappeared almost overnight, and that absence spoke louder than any apology ever could. I watched everything unfold with quiet detachment, knowing that once credibility begins to crack, it never completely repairs itself. Once again, silence accomplished what words could not. People often believe confrontation must involve anger, that exposure needs drama to have impact. That night proved otherwise. Calm can be deeply unsettling. Facts can be devastating. By introducing his wife, I hadn't humiliated anyone. I had simply removed the cover protecting a false story. The shock came not from what I said, but from how little I needed to say. That quiet certainty disturbed everyone more than shouting ever could. My wife realized I was no longer competing for attention or respect. I wasn't pleading to be chosen or acknowledged. I was standing still, allowing reality to reveal itself naturally. That kind of shift cannot be reversed. Looking back, the moment wasn't about humiliation or clever timing. It was about reclaiming my presence. When my wife introduced her work partner, she assumed I would politely disappear into the background. Instead, I remained where I was, and by remaining, I ended a lie that depended entirely on my silence to exist. The room never truly recovered because something irreversible had taken place. Truth had been spoken calmly, openly, and without apology. I didn't raise my voice or create a scene. I simply refused to disappear. And sometimes that single decision is enough to change everything forever.